The Big Lerf Podcast, talking LRF and more. Hello and welcome to the Big Lerf Podcast. My name is Ben Bassett and I'm here with Joe Mole.
Hello.
Hello. We're here, currently sitting in Bristol Aquarium. We're in the cinema room. It's quite a scene. We're here to interview Nottingham's very own fish twitcher, Jack Perks.
How you doing? Sorry, I'm talking over you, Ben.
That's fine, not a problem. Jack has made a name for himself as a wildlife cameraman with a real focus on the underwater world. Either behind or in front of the camera, Jack has played a huge role in sharing the beauty of UK fresh and saltwater species on BBC productions such as Springwatch, Countryfowl and David Attenborough's Wild Owls, whilst also being a prolific YouTuber and podcaster. Most excitingly of all, Jack has now finished his very own fish documentary, Britain's Hidden Fishes, which is why we're here. So let's get into the interview. So hello Jack, how are you, mate?
I'm alright, yeah, it's not really sunk in yet.
No.
There's only a couple of hours till the film actually plays and then it'll all dawn on me.
Yeah, brilliant. And so I wanted to start with a bit of background on yourself, obviously because many people wouldn't know who you are, but others will. So can you just give a little bit of brief background on who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a wildlife cameraman and photographer and an angler, not professionally, but I dabble.
Yeah.
And as well as all wildlife, because I am interested in everything, fish are my main focus. Love fish because they do kind of get a bit of a raw deal. Whenever you watch these documentaries, it's always the fish are just food for something else, or it may be a shark or a salmon if you're lucky, but a lot of these other really interesting fish get left sideways, so I'm quite keen on promoting those through various mediums, and that's what I've tried to make a career out of, and God knows how I've done it, but I have made a career out of doing
succeeded.
it.
That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Amazing.
definitely.
Brilliant. And obviously that's why we're here, obviously to attend the premiere of Britain's Hidden Fishes, which we're very excited about.
No, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and so this is your very own documentary. Have you done anything like this before?
Not on this scale.
No.
I mean, I've done like the odd little bits on YouTube and short films, but this is like a proper documentary. It's like an hour long, and we've had a whole team. So obviously I've put it together, but we've had like BAFTA award-winning sound design people working on it, and other camera ops working on it. Obviously we've got Jeremy Way, which I'm very excited to have narrating it.
Yeah.
Editors. So we've had basically like a whole team that you would have on a television program. It's sort of that quality. So it's really exciting.
It's very
exciting
exciting.
to get
The
that.
real deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're not. Can you swear on this podcast or not?
You can do what you like.
Okay, we're not fucking about. You know?
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So how did this come about? What was this? Where did this
So
start from?
we started in 2020, just as the pandemic was winding down, I guess. And I thought, if we're going to do this, we better do it now, or start doing it. And actually, I don't know if you remember this. I rang you up
I do.
right at the beginning, and I was like, I'm trying to think of ways to raise money. And Ben was really up for it. He's really friendly, and he said, look, maybe we could do an LRF comp, because I know that the LRF community has these amazing comps, and they've always been very good to me. And I said, maybe we could do it in Weymouth, because that was the first, because you've carried it on, haven't you?
We have, yeah.
So that was the first one. And you said, how much money do you want to raise? I said, well, I'm trying to raise 30 grand. And you went, all right, okay, how long have you got? I said, about 30 days. And you went, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And
Genuine reaction.
yeah, no, that was. And you were just like, I don't know if you're going to do that. And we did. We
you did.
raised 38 grand in the end. So
It was incredible.
it was mad, which I know that sounds like a lot of money, but it's nothing for this. Like normally a 1 hour nature documentary, like an Attenborough series, is 2 million per episode.
Wow.
So 38 grand for this is beyond. It's not
Bargain.
shoestring. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But we did it.
You did it well. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, so the level of the footage, obviously, I've seen in the trailers and everything, is very exciting. It looks really good. So obviously, I wanted to sort of say about that. How did you? Is there any particular bits that you're particularly proud of? Obviously, spoilers and things, but like
It's not Game of Thrones.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with all of it, really. I mean, I guess the thing that'll be relevant to a lot of LRF anglers is we've got a giant goby sequence.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I really wanted giant goby. I used to live in Falmouth, used to live in Cornwall, so I remember occasionally seeing them rock pooling. And I thought, I've got to shout about these things, because LRF anglers obviously get very excided when they accidentally catch one.
Accidentally. For that record.
Yeah, inverted commas. And I thought, I've got to get these in there. So I had to apply for a license with Natural England, because they are protected up
Yes.
the wazoo, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they did very, very graciously give me a license to trap them. So I thought, can I get a license to catch them? But if I won't push me luck, so they let me use shrimp pots.
Okay.
So I put these shrimp pots somewhere on the Cornish coast,
Yeah.
and we got loads. I mean,
They are common.
they're pretty. Yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but they're pretty common in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got loads, and we did. I mean, in the end, we didn't really even need to trap them. Like,
No.
you just sit in a rock pool, and one would come out and look at you, and
Yeah,
they
they're
were-
quite bold fish.
yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, I was wriggling my finger, and they'd be having a go at it.
Yeah.
So they were pretty cool. But I'm quite pleased with that sequence. We've got a few little rock pool critters in the film, and we've got a really interesting mullet sequence. That's something they're doing a little bit different, which people might not know about. So, I'm really proud of all of it. But
of course,
there's a few bits in there.
That's brilliant. Well, we're very excited to see it. So you've got River Monsters' Jeremy Wade narrating it, which obviously is a big deal in the fishing world because everyone loves Jeremy. How did that happen?
So I knew Jeremy sort of because we went fishing together with a guy called Mark Everard, who's like Mr. Roach or Doctor,
Mark's amazing.
Whatever he calls himself, but he's a good egg. So Mark put together this mini fish match, and we went to the Kennet and Avon Canal, and the idea was who can catch the most mini species. So very in the spirit of LRF, really.
We approve.
And I was desperate. I didn't get a rough on the day. I was desperate to get a rough, but I didn't get one. But Jeremy caught some bleak and stuff like that. It was quite good fun. He didn't have any gear under £80. We had to lend him lighter gear. And we got on well, and we swapped emails, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then when I was planning this film, I thought, he was my only choice. I was like, I've got to get Jeremy to do it. And luckily, he was so gun-ho. He was like, I'm well up for that.
Amazing.
And he was really keen to do it, so I'm pretty lucky, because otherwise it would have been an hour of my nasally midland voice, which no one wants that. No one wants that.
Well, I mean, he definitely lends a bit of gravitas to it, doesn't he?
It's legitimate, because anyone can make a film and talk over it. But I thought, you've got that legitimacy to have his voice on it, and I think that's been really good and useful in getting people on board with it.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to if we get a chance to meet him, actually, because it's just a bit.
He's a really down to earth guy. I mean, if I get a chance, I'll introduce you. But he's he'll be fun. He'll talk to anyone. He's a lovely bloke. So definitely have a waffle with him if you can today.
Definitely. And so who else has been involved in creating the film? Obviously, it's probably a lot of people, but
So I mean, who would people know? We've had lots of other camera ops. So we had people who've worked on Frozen Planet and Planet Earth, and I say like Jake Davis. I was telling you before we started recording. He's got some amazing marine stuff. He's got angel shark footage and crazy stuff like that.
Incredible.
Matt Doggett did the sea bream. He's got some incredible sea bream footage, black sea bream. So we had like the creme de la creme of fish. Chris Conroy. I'm sure a lot of people will know the salmon stuff that he does in Scotland. So we had a lot of the kind of top fishy people, if you like, filming on it. And then all the editors and sound design and everything, they all work in television. So it was pretty big team. It's the A team of the fish world, really.
Yeah, it's amazing. So are these people that you know, or are these people that...
A lot of them I know, and then other times it's like you get referred, friend of a friend sort of jobby. But it's all kind of not cobbled together, but we sort of know each other. So.
I mean, is the sort of fish filming scene, is that a small scene in the UK? Is that like, or is
there's not many of us. No. I mean, like, I wouldn't like to rank it, but I mean, I'm fairly high up, I suppose, without sounding completely arrogant. But there are a few people, but there aren't many. I mean, there's only maybe half a dozen that do it properly and regularly and make some money out of it. So it's a pretty small pot to pick from anyway.
Absolutely.
But the marine side, there's more people doing it because scuba diving in the sea is a bit more glamorous than jumping in a canal.
Yes, true.
But I mean, really lucky that people agreed to work on it and get some great stuff.
Fantastic. And obviously people will listen to this, will be interested in where they can see it. That's obviously going to be a big one. I mean, for yourself, you're putting on tour a little bit, aren't you? You've got a few spots.
Yeah, so we've got some screenings. So I'll post those out off the top of my head because I know a lot of the LRF communities based in the southwest. We have got one in Falmouth at the Poly.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Which I think on the 24th of October, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But we've definitely got a couple in the southwest, but it'll go all around the country for screenings. And potentially, I'm talking to someone at the minute about getting on TV. Haven't got any dates yet, but we are pushing. So with a bit of luck, it'll go on telly and everyone can watch it everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That is the plan. It's looking good. I don't want to jinx it, but it is looking good that it'll end up on TV. But at the very least, there will be screenings if you want to see it sooner. Maybe I don't know if anyone does DVDs anymore, but we might do DVDs. We're probably not going to do like a streaming service, so you'll have to kind of hold off for that. But be patient. We'll get it out there. You will see it some way and some shape somewhere down the line.
Brilliant. It was very exciting. So obviously we talked briefly about the Big Lerf sort of owes a lot of our events to you, actually, really, for coming up with the idea. For obviously just saying we're going to raise some money for. I wanted to talk about that event, and obviously, and obviously, as you came to me and said we needed to do this, and I was like, yeah, we ain't going to raise that amount of money. But I think we raised, what was it, like 1,600 quid, something like that?
1,600,
Yeah.
about that, which is, it
For a-
really helped.
For a small fishing competition, that was pretty good. I
Yeah.
mean, we got 70, it sold like nearly 80 tickets or something like that, I think it was. It was
It was a
amazing.
good turnout, wasn't it?
Really
It was
good,
Yeah, it was over 70, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like 60 or so turned up on the day. It was amazing. Really, really good
I
day.
really enjoyed. I had a whale of a time. It was such a good day. You were there as well, weren't you?
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
actually
Joe was
taking
there.
part in the competition,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is like
Doesn't happen
it's
anymore.
evolved from them, but it was
Yeah.
cool to take part.
That'd be
in the
impossible to do
competition.
now. but
Yeah.
How'd you do on the day? How many species you get?
Oh, blimey. Can't even
Can't
couldn't even
remember.
tell you now.
No.
I did all right. It was a
It was a
hard
slog,
day's
wasn't it?
fishing.
It was. I don't think anyone caught anything spectacular. off the top.
Morris got the red mullet.
Oh, that was it.
That was
yeah,
really-
that was
yeah.
right. That was right. That won something, didn't it? Did that win
That,
something?
that one called his catch.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And there was a nice tub gurnard caught, the very
was
first.
there?
So the longest fish one was on.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That
I
was
do
like
vaguely remember that.
almost immediately as well,
Yeah,
wasn't
the
it?
first
That-
Yeah.
fish caught nearly.
Yeah, first fish.
Oh, wow.
It was
Yeah,
a good
mate,
sized fish.
Keith Hyde it was. He just launched a metal off the end of the pleasure pier,
That's right.
and just got on straight away.
Because I think most people got 4 or 5, and then it sort of stagnated.
It
Didn't
was
it? Like
hard,
no
yeah,
one
yeah.
really was able to push it
because
up.
we had no there was no mackerel, nothing like that
No.
about, and the bit of,
I had a sea trout follower metal, and I was
Really?
next to
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Some really friendly guy. He made a YouTube video. I'm really sorry if you're listening to this. I can't remember your name, but he saw it, so I've got a witness.
Oh, nice,
But
yeah.
we were stood next to a no fishing sign,
of course.
and I chucked out this little metal because I don't know what I'm doing. I just spray and pray, and then a sea trout came up and followed it, and he was like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Shit, that would have been a really good fish to catch."
Really
But-
good,
I mean, I
yeah.
wasn't really taking part in it. I was just fishing for jollies.
Of course,
but,
yeah.
But that was good. But
You
yeah.
had a camera down the side a few times as well.
Yeah,
didn't you?
I got some nice footage that day. Actually, I did get a lot of red mullet on that day.
Yeah.
Or whatever they were, striped mullet, one or the other. But yeah, it was just like these little cameras. I was laying down on a rope and just letting them run for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I quite like doing that with a fish off a pier because like you, as an angler, you question yourself, don't you? Like, oh, there's nothing down there. But the amount of times I pull it back up and it's littered with fish,
Yeah,
happens a lot.
I bet.
It does happen
I
a
bet.
lot.
It's what we were sort of saying as well when we said the amount of times we probably pulled it from the jaws of a really rare fish and you just don't know. That's the unknown about fishing.
Well, I did that with andymytton with a black-faced blenny.
Yes.
And that's on YouTube, I think.
Yeah,
and
I've
like,
seen the footage.
he was crying, but like the black-faced blenny took his lure, and you can see the end, but the hook didn't go in, and he pulled it out of its mouth, and he was because I was just new to LRF then, so I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But he was gutted.
That's because that is a
absolutely.
lifer. That would be an
Yeah.
incredible fish.
Well, I'm dying to get another. I think this is the time of year, isn't it, when they're in full
Apparently
breeding
so,
colours?
yeah.
I'd love to
I've
get
never
a photo
seen
of
one.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, they're amazing fish.
Yeah.
They look like they should be on a coral reef, not Weymouth.
Yeah, we've got a few species like that. I mean, is there any particular favourites for yourself? Any of that? Talk about marine species here.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about before recording. I'd love to see a pogue or
Yeah,
pogue,
yeah.
whatever you want to call
Pogue,
it.
hook nose,
They're-
whatever
yeah,
they're called, yeah.
they're really weird, aren't they? I'd love to see one of those. That's on my bucket list this year to try and just see one. I'm not bothered about catching it. But just,
Yeah.
And sea snails. I'm really like they're not necessarily the most beautiful fish, but they're just weird.
Yeah.
These little weird guys.
But that's, to be fair, that's kind of what LRF is all about.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, anything like that. Butterfly blenny. I don't know if anyone's ever had a butterfly blenny. They're pretty crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, not from the shore, I don't think. Yeah.
No.
that's,
Oh, you can catch them further out.
Yeah,
can
you can. Yeah, I've seen someone posted one earlier.
That was who had it last year? Adam Kirby.
Adam Kirby had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did from the
Really?
boat.
Yeah, had it from the boat.
Did he have
Proper-
two? Did him and Dan get one?
So
Yeah.
he must have been targeting that.
So Adam Kirby's actually who won the fundraiser that we did when we
Oh,
raised.
okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
he's an incredible angler.
Yeah.
And so they can be targeted, but it's just that I think they like deeper, rocky sort of marks.
Right,
and you have to
okay.
fish really small, obviously, for it.
Yeah, so most people are going to be targeting big. Why would they
Exactly.
target a blenny?
Exactly.
They're not
You're in like, I don't know, 50 foot of water. You're not really
Yeah.
targeting blennies, are you? So
normal anglers, but
no,
LRF.
but we could arrange it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
great. I was interested going back to the fundraiser and everything about how you chose the crowdfunding model. So obviously, to explain the reasoning for that, what was that? Just because there's the only way to get made, or
Well, I mean, I knocked on the doors of like BBC and people like that, and they just didn't want to give me the lump sum.
yes,
So crowdfunding's handy because obviously, like, I mean, some people literally gave me like £1 or £2,
Yeah.
which is great. It's all welcome and received. So it was just nice that I didn't have to rely on one person for a large amount of money. People could just give whatever they could afford. So I've done crowdfunding in the past, and I think if you have particularly got a more obscure project like this was, crowdfunding's a good model for that.
Yeah.
And it seemed to work really well.
yeah, it's very successful. I mean,
Yeah.
it comes up in my memories occasionally. obviously me just like sharing the hell out of it to get people to raise.
Yeah,
'cause
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really wanted to get it made. It was
It's a really exciting project, wasn't it? Like
yeah.
for our LRF guys and that, because that's what we're after, the weird and the wonderful
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
to get a film on.
Well, it's
that
the
weird and
only way it
wonderful.
would get made. I don't think there would be any other way, unless you had someone with a lot of cash to burn and very keen.
He's super
like,
passionate about it.
yeah, there's just because TV are finicky about doing fish at the best of times, let alone giving you a load of money towards it. So it's a really nice way to get a niche thing achieved. So I don't think we would have done it without crowdfunding, 100%.
No, but we're here because of it.
Yeah.
So back to the fishing. So obviously we talked about LRF, and obviously your relationship, you're quite a fan of it.
Yeah,
But,
I love it. Yeah.
what would be your sort of general type of fishing that you do the most?
I mean, I'm an all-rounder, so I live in the middle of the Midlands. I'm as far away from the sea as possible. So I do love it when I very rarely get a chance. But I generally, I do like the multi-species fishing. I suppose what I do for myself generally is trotting, because I live on the Trent.
Nice.
So I do a lot of trotting for gudgeon, barb, or whatever comes along with it. But if I do get a chance to fish by the sea, then I do enjoy sort of up against the harbour wall. Probably a cheeky piece of rag. I know that's blasphemy to say on another podcast, but I will put a little bit of bait on and see what I can
We'll
get out.
forgive you.
We'll
Yeah.
bleep it out, don't
Okay,
worry.
yeah,
That's the only swear word on this podcast.
yeah. I can say everything else, but
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
say rag.
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, brilliant. So I saw on your podcast you did some zander fishing recently, didn't you? Or like was that a while ago?
I have done, not
Yeah.
recently, but we do get good. I mean, like my PB zander's £11.
That's a good
There's
fish.
some big zander in the Trent near me.
Yeah. Is
So
that like dead baiting or is that
that's
lures?
dead bait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's some big zander in the Trent. So yeah, I do occasionally do a bit of predator fishing in the winter. Have a go for pike zander.
Do you have any thoughts on the zander? Do you have a negative, positive?
I mean, look, it'd be better if they weren't here, but they are here. It would cost a hell of a lot of money to get rid of them. So I just think they coexist with all the species that we have in Europe here. So I wouldn't worry about it. Catfish, I'm not so much a bigger fan
Yeah,
of. I
true.
think big Wells catfish in rivers. That's no
Sounds like
thank
a
you.
bad thing, yeah.
Somewhere like Angler's Paradise, great, whatever. In a carp lake, whatever, go for it. In rivers, they are just a swimming stomach,
Yes.
and they'll eat everything. So yeah, I'm not so much a fan of catfish. But zander, they get roughly the same size as pike. Everything equals out. There's loads in the Trent, there's loads in the Severn, and we've got a pretty healthy stock of silverfish. So
Yeah, that's what I think our opinion as
yeah.
well.
You
Yeah.
both caught zander? You caught zander?
I've caught zander, yeah.
No, I've never had a
Have you not?
zander.
No.
No.
Yeah, we've I think Gloucester Canal's the closest for us.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen a few people go there.
Yeah, that's a pretty fairly reliable spot. The one I had was like a tiddler, but it was,
Yeah,
it's
it's still
a lot of
cool.
lure. It was really cool. And they're one of those fish that I grew up when I was when I was a kid. I was in Norfolk, and they were like this sort of fish that I just really wanted to catch, and I was just ticking that one off was amazing. But
Yeah, they're
Speaking
funky
of-
looking things.
yeah, speaking of catfish, you did a bit of fishing for them with Dom, didn't you?
Yeah, we went to Angler's
You filmed that,
Paradise.
didn't you?
Yeah, we did. There's a video on YouTube if you want to scroll back, and that was good crack actually. It was good. It was a good time we
Yeah, it's
got.
Dom Garnett, by the way. That's who we're talking about. Yeah.
He's a good egg, Dom is. Yeah, we didn't get anything massive, but I mean they're cool. I mean they're big. What's the biggest catfish I've seen? Not very big, but a big catfish is an impressive animal. They are just
Yes.
weird tadpole-looking things, aren't they?
They're incredible looking things, I think. But as you
Yeah.
say, they're a dangerous one to have in like natural ecosystems. But obviously,
Well, like a 50-pound cat, that's eating, 5-pound chub, 5-pound barb. It's eating big fish, so
Yeah.
it's not something you want in a.
we only got to look at the Ebro really for seeing what it does to the.
So I'll tell you a fact about the Ebro. The Ebro had the most endemic fish in the whole of Europe before catfish.
Okay.
And then after catfish, it's just a few big carp,
Yeah.
some bass, and catfish. They've wiped it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the local anglers love it because they've got people travelling over there and they catch them, and I get that.
And they're huge.
And they're monsters. They're absolute monsters because they're not native to Spain. They shouldn't be there.
No.
But they've eaten all the native barbel, all the native. They've got like Spanish tooth carp and really weird stuff LRF anglers would love.
Yeah.
They've had a lot. So they hang on in the tributaries, but in the main river, the cats have just munched
Yeah,
it. And I
wiped
think,
them out.
I mean, we don't get as warm as Spain, so they're never going to get to that big. But I think a 100-pound cat isn't unreasonable. I think
No.
they could get that to that size, and that's a big mouth. So
Yeah, there's been some caught. I think one came out of the Severn that was like about 100
it
pounds
did.
or so.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it did.
So that's obviously there's a big fish eating a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Going on to obviously talk about podcasting and things. You got your own podcast, Bearded Tits Podcast.
Yeah.
Good name.
Yep,
Suitable.
suits me.
So obviously, I appreciate you taking the time to feature on ours.
No, it's been a pleasure.
How does recording audio compare to filming? A lot easier.
I hate
imagine?
it.
Yeah, hate it. Yeah.
No, it's not that I hate. I'm not. I'm a visual person.
Yeah.
No, I enjoy. It's great. I mean, obviously, when I'm interviewing people, it's lovely to meet new people and
Yeah.
you get to chat to them properly. So there is the social aspect, which is great, and it is easier, but it can be a bit of a slog edit. I don't like editing. I hate it. I don't know how you guys find it, but
I find the podcast part's quite easy. It depends
Yeah.
on how many cock-ups we made, but that's always
Yeah.
normally it's pretty straightforward. 'Cause it's like, particularly me, Joe and Rich, we just sit there and chat.
yeah.
We do that all the time anyway, so it's kind of like
Yeah, you might as well
just
record it.
yeah, it's just add a tiny bit of structure to it, really. So
Yeah.
that's good. But yeah, I find the interviews more interesting because I've got to really think about it a bit more. You know.
Yeah,
So,
I suppose so.
yeah, with like questions to find anything.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I would say you're pretty well known for filming every single freshwater UK species of fish. Yeah. So how did that start?
Oh God, because no one else had done it
Yeah.
really. I just thought, well, you get bird twitchers rather, who go and
Yes.
see all the birds, and you've got people who go see all the moths and weird stuff. And I thought, I wonder if anyone's seen all the fish all the freshwater fish. And no, as far as I could tell, no one had done it. And I thought, oh, well, I'll film them all. And I thought this won't take very long. It took 7 years.
7 years.
7 years to do it. But I don't know. No one paid me to do it. It's just something I came up with myself, and I loved it. So
Yeah.
it's quite handy. It's been a weirdly good marketing tool. It wasn't designed to be a marketing thing, but if someone needs something fishy, they often will come to me because I've got everything. So
Of course, yeah.
it's quite handy for that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a weird thing, but I loved it. It was great.
I think it took you down a bit of a rabbit hole with the burbot as well, didn't it? It seems like it.
Oh God, don't get started about burbot.
Yeah,
We'll be here all day, Ben. I do love my burbot. So yeah, because they're not in the UK. Give up on it. They're not here.
Yeah.
But we did have them. They were here in 1969. They're a freshwater cod. If anyone doesn't know what they are, they should be if it wasn't for us. So I had to go to Belgium to go film them. Basically,
Yeah, I saw that. It was amazing.
over there. But I think they're incredible fish. I mean, there are rumblings about getting them back. Norfolk Rivers Trust are working hard.
Okay.
So I think within the next couple of years, we'll probably have them in Norfolk.
You was talking about the Wissy, wasn't it?
The Wissy, that's
'Cause
right.
that's my old hunt.
Is it
ground.
really?
Yeah, literally lived in Stoke Ferry, which is the Wissy goes through. And I was there was always, when I was a kid, it was people would talk about the burbot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
They're
definitely
amazing
part of like,
fish.
the myth.
They are really amazing. I mean, they do tailors.
Yeah.
So who knows? 10, 20 years, you could do an LRF burbot
It'd be
comp.
incredible.
Yeah.
That would be good, wouldn't
That'd
it?
be
Cool.
amazing. That'd be so good. But we're filming every single freshwater species. What was the most challenging?
Oh, everyone always expects it to be the rare stuff, but you know what? The common stuff was difficult, like barbel.
Okay.
Even though I've got barbel coming out the wazoo near me, filming them was tricky. Things like char and shad and stuff like that, they're pretty straightforward because they're rare. People notice them.
Okay, yes.
But if you say, right, where's a river that's gin clear with lots of barbel and looks good, it's hard to find because there's lots of barbel everywhere, but a good river with barbel. So things like barbel were tricky, eels were tricky, big eels were tricky anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Zander were tricky,
All right,
zander
yeah.
were hard. So yeah, a lot of the more common stuff was actually.
I guess because Xander like the sort of murky stuff, so it's harder to.
We got them in Rutland water in the end, so we were lowering cameras down in Rutland, and where else did we do? Yeah, Rutland water was the main place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite famous for them.
Yeah.
And how would you go about filming like a barbel? How would that?
So lots of methods. So I do a lot of static cams.
Okay.
So a lot of the times where I'll just put the camera in the river and leave it. But I do snorkel as well. I really enjoy snorkeling. Not as keen snorkeling rivers now because they're full of sewage.
Yes.
But I do snorkel in them. Pole cameras. Sometimes do aquarium stuff. So there's no one method. I do everything really. I'll cater it to the fish. So when I've been out with like Dom Garnett and Andy Mitten and people like that, I'll sometimes just bring a little aquarium. I notice a lot of LRF anglers do this as well. The little viewing
Viewing
thing.
tanks,
Great
yeah.
idea.
Real popular, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
I love it. I think it's such a good idea.
They're brilliant. It comes from Japan, like all the crazy stuff
Yeah.
does. Yeah, they used it for their the bisseling that they have over there, the Tanago, and or Tanago, is probably better pronunciation.
Yeah.
But yeah, they use them and they try and measure them to this very smallest
Right.
they can do. Yeah,
It's such a good idea.
It's really
because
cool.
you can obviously like a fish in the hand looks a bit sad sometimes.
does,
doesn't it?
yeah.
But as soon as you give it a bit of water, they look so much better.
particularly
don't
the
they?
small gobies and stuff because they're
I bet.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean painted gobies, things like that look incredible. 2-spot gobies
Probably makes ID a bit easier, doesn't it?
a lot better.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, we've said. I mean, our competitions, we said we can only accept ones that are in the viewing tank because.
Is that right?
Yeah, because if you try and have them out, it's like, oh yeah, well if you can just about spot that line,
You've
or
got to count the rays or
yeah,
something
yeah,
on it.
which is
right.
impossible to do if the
Yeah, I've got you.
if the dorsal's down, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Really good for recovery and stuff like that.
Yeah,
as
it's
well,
just
isn't
better
it?
They're
not
not sat
All-round
there
care
gasping.
is-
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great shout.
it's just a lot better.
I guess if you've got like people walking by, maybe kids or something as well, you'd be like, oh, have a look at this, rather than a fish gasping in hand.
Yeah.
Have a look at in this tank.
Yeah, it's a lot better for sort of just showing off
Yeah.
LRF, and it's a better
Yeah, I
way.
think so.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so very similar sort of tanks and things like
Yeah,
that.
so I mean, mine are a little bit bigger and
Yes.
decorated and whatever, but similar concept. So, yeah, all kinds of different methods. Really, there's no one way of doing it. There's lots of different
interesting.
ways.
You included a few what people would call saltwater species in there as well, didn't you? Couple.
Yeah. So I mean, there's always a debate like what do you include, what don't you include. So I included 53 species, everything that's native, everything that's non-native, and then also species that can go in fresh and salt. So for example, flounder, mullet, bass, I would count as freshwater as well, which I know people like mullet and bass aren't freshwater, but they can go into rivers and they can stay in rivers. So in theory, a freshwater angler who's never been sea fishing in their life could catch a mullet, a flounder,
Very easily, yeah.
or a bass. So that's why I count them, because whenever there's always someone who gives me shit online, like, "Oh, you don't get them in rivers." I'm like, "Fuck off." But you do get, but generally lower down, but they are in complete fresh water.
Yes.
The thing that stops them is barriers. Generally, if there were no weirs, they push right up, but
Yeah.
it's just they can't get as far up as they'd like to. I mean, we get flounder in Nottinghamshire, near me,
Crazy, isn't it?
which is 40 miles inland.
Yeah.
So if they got half a chance, they will push.
Yes.
They will push up.
Yeah, I had a guy message me during the Winter League saying, if I catch a flounder in freshwater, does it count to my freshwater total? I was like, I can't, because it'd be impossible to prove. But he said, I can't stop catching them.
Really?
He's fishing one spot, and he said he's going for perch, and the flounder just taking his lures every time.
Wow,
I was
that's
like,
mad.
where is that spot? I want to go there.
Yeah, because they do feed in. A lot of people don't think they feed, but they all do feed in.
That's
fresh
the reason
water.
they go up there. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
that's
up for
it
food.
mainly.
Yeah, we were just talking about. There's a really cool image recently shared.
Yeah.
It was a pike with a flounder in its mouth.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see
The
that.
aerial
Yeah.
shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Such a cool thing to see. I mean, it must happen, but it's just to get it on camera is really cool.
Yeah,
It's
no,
obviously that visual of just that clashing world, doesn't it?
it's
of
weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we
the
just don't
two fish
associate it.
meeting.
Brilliant. And we'll sort of come to sort of wrapping it up now. But have you got any plans for Britain's Hidden Fishes 2?
If someone wants to give me £38,000 to do another one, I would love to.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, like it might lead to something else. It would be absolutely amazing to. Because someone said like, "Oh, when's the first episode out?" I was like, "No, it's just one episode."
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd love to do more. And there's so many stories that we didn't feature because we didn't have time or money or whatever. So never say never. We might be able to do another one, but there are no immediate plans. But, I have to do a few more fishing comps to raise the money for it.
We'll just have to get working on that.
Yeah.
It'll be a popular choice anyway. It would be really good. So we'll finish up there. So thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thanks for me, guys. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, mate. The Big Lerf Podcast, talking LRF and more. Hello. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Jack Perks. We certainly enjoyed chatting to him. Do we, Jack?
Yeah, that was cool. That was nice.
It was really nice. And we just had the privilege of being some of the first in the country to see the documentary itself.
Yeah, on the biggest IMAX screen I've ever seen in my life.
It was incredible. Yeah,
huge.
Amazing. So I just wanted to sort of give our sort of quick review of it, really, because we've been obviously very fortunate to see what you felt about it. And so what were your immediate thoughts?
Just stunning, isn't
Yeah.
it? Just beautiful shots. Just really cool seeing our fish just represented in the light they deserve, really.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Any particular favourites?
Well, we had a brief shot of a tub. So
Very early on.
very early on. That was me almost done.
Yeah.
So
you walked out there
yeah,
happy.
yeah, I was a very happy man. But yeah, just some incredible shots. Obviously, lots of our sea life, which is always cool to see.
Yeah.
Like particularly like the angel shark footage. I thought was
there's a really cool piece of angel shark footage where the a goby goes across and gets munched by it, which is just fantastic to see. I was really impressed they got that on film.
Yeah, it was some dedication.
Particularly in the British Isles, because obviously angel sharks are nearly hunted to extinction, known as monkfish. Obviously now anglerfish are known as monkfish, but they just the fact they got that footage in the British Isles is amazing.
Yeah. What about
Really.
yourself? Was
For me, I just I love the giant goby footage. So he managed to get giant gobies, but also he managed to also get shannies. They got Jeremy Wade of all people narrating a piece on shannies, and like fair play, Jack.
that's every Lerfer's dream, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I just never thought I'd hear River Monsters Jeremy Wade talking about shannies on a well-made documentary.
Yeah.
So fair play. That was incredible. There was also some beautiful footage. I mean, stuff we've seen before, like, I mean, the mayfly's been taken by the trout. I felt it was a very trout-heavy documentary. Obviously, I think Jack's clearly got a soft spot for the species.
He loves this trout.
Clearly. But like all the footage is fantastic, and the stories they're trying to tell in it. But there's a lot of links, I think, between the marine life and freshwater, and it sort of blurs the lines between that very well and shows. I mean, what Jack, I think, has done a lot in his work outside of this documentary is sort of show the blending of that.
Yeah.
Like we saw, like bass going into freshwater. We saw flounder. There's a brilliant piece on with like eels and perch and flounder.
Yeah, some really cool behaviours.
Which I would never have thought I was going to see in a mainstream documentary sort of thing.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive. So I just think it's a triumph. I mean, the music as well. I thought the music was really good. I'm not sure who. Forgot to ask actually who put that together.
He said it was some BAFTA winning.
Yeah, they've done a really good job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tension where there needs to be tension. There's lightheartedness when there is.
Yeah.
You know, there's some sort of funny scenes with, particularly with a trout fry, where it's kind of like falling over its own yolk.
Yeah, it's a kind of
like
yolk
roll.
sack, isn't it? It's,
It looks like kind of ungainly.
Yeah.
And that was really
You just
cool.
wonder how they survive.
Yeah, well, they've got just numbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like some of the shots, even just some of the small bits, like, you know, just seeing bluefin tuna, some of that's brilliant to see.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the tone? I mean, of the sort of the general piece. What was of the message?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously leans towards just the beauty of what we've got.
Yes.
But it does give you that hint of how much we have all messed it up
Yes.
as a species, basically. But it doesn't come down heavy to the point where you're not going to be interested to go and look for these animals.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, where you're going to be like, there's no point me looking because
They're all
they're
gone.
already gone.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it did the sort of I guess what Wild Isles and other documentaries have been trying to do, the Attenborough documentary, where trying to show the beauty and also it'll make you aware that this stuff is in jeopardy, which is I think that's important. So it's definitely felt very accessible. I think if I was to show this documentary, I think if I was to sit down with my wife and watch it, I think she would be interested enough in it. It's like it's still something that she would be.
yeah, I had the same thoughts there. I thought with my partner, I thought this is something I could sit down and watch. It's got that engaging story like tale between the fish's lives that you can follow, basically.
But without being just so in depth or too scientific that it's going to piss people off, or because obviously I think there's definitely enough here for like the proper fish geeks like ourselves and the common just general person who might not have even has maybe a passing interest in nature.
Yeah,
and I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they did what they also showed quite interesting because they showed a fair amount of like urban environments, managed environments, which I think you didn't see in maybe Wild Isles. Which is I'm comparing it to Wild Isles because it's what I've recently watched, and it's sort of like the only thing I can think of was
fresh off your mind. Yeah.
But I think they shied away from that. But like a lot of our land is managed, and we have a lot of our land is urban, and a lot of those species are going to find those in those environments.
Yeah,
and it did show like a little bit of rubbish and a bit of there's like man-made areas, isn't there? So
where we've made life difficult and
exactly, and it showed those challenges. It didn't shy away from that, which I thought was really good. So in general, it's just I think it's a real triumph. And Jack, if you're listening to this, well done, mate. You said you really find it very awkward with compliments.
Yeah. So
and a word on Jeremy Wade. I thought it'd be nice to meet someone who's a bit of a fishing hero.
Yeah,
just
a big person, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, there he is. There's Jeremy. We're just
like
hanging out.
For TV.
Yeah.
And that's but he's just a really down to earth fella. Seems like a real nice guy, to be fair.
Yeah. Like we took a photo with him, and he was quite happy with that, wasn't he? And
but he didn't make a big deal of anything. But he was quite good at the Q&A afterwards as well. I think it's obviously going back and forth. I think it was nice to sort of hear their viewpoints on it, and there's a few sort of like quite heavy questions asked from a predominantly naturalist and angling crowd.
Yeah.
So there was obviously a lot of interest in like how do we go ahead and improve things in the future? How do we improve our communication, maybe to people who don't listen to these podcasts or like watch these documentaries. You know, it's like it's
how do you make your voice heard?
Exactly. Yeah, it's really tricky, but well, I'd certainly say it's probably the only fish documentary I've ever watched that's been dedicated to British fish, but I think it's the best one could imagine. I think there's an absolute triumph, and they've done really, really well.
Yeah, I purposely stayed away from watching the least amount of like preview footage and stuff, so I was going in there completely fresh with it, and just exceeded my expectations on what could be filmed. Lots of stuff on there that I did not know about fish. There was lots of surprising stuff as well, and I like to think of myself as fairly knowledgeable on fish. But yeah, it was something that I think everyone should see. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And as Jack said, hopefully it's going to be on TV at some point in the future. If not, really try and go to those screenings if you can. Show the support for it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's one obviously down in Falmouth, obviously for people who listen in the southwest. But it's all over the country. He has taken it on tour, so I think you definitely want to see a lot of support for this.
Yeah, if you've got that opportunity, it's not to be missed.
No, definitely not. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. But thank you so much for listening, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
The Big Lerf Podcast, talking LRF and more.